Depending on what we're trying to assess. So if I'm assessing dislocation, subluxation, there's some tests for that. If it's rotator cuff stuff, there's some tests for that. If it's bicipital tendonitis, there's some tests for that. It's pretty much what we're looking at here, okay? So my best one that I have for you for subluxation, okay, it's our apprehensions test. So what we do is, we all know the shoulder is most likely going to dislocate anteriorly, or sublux anteriorly, or pop out in the front, okay? So what we want to do is we want to stress that and see what we get. So what we do is we put them in 90-90, okay? So 90 degrees at the shoulder, 90 degrees at the elbow, okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to stabilize this, and we're going to externally rotate their shoulder, okay? By doing this, we're taking that humeral head and we're going to rotate it this way. And if they've had a subluxation, they're not going to want to do that because that's going to hurt, and there's potential for it to sublux again. That's why you call it apprehension, because they get very apprehensive about the pain you're about to put them through. Okay. Yeah. Right. So that's our apprehension test. 90-90, externally rotate the shoulder. You got apprehension. Right.
What does sublux mean?
Sublux means that it goes out, goes back in. So it just kind of pops out. Okay. On that one. Luxation is completely out, or dislocation is completely out. Okay. All right. Jorgensen's test. You're gonna have to stand because nobody can see if you would sit them, but because we're showing it, I'm going to have to stand. Okay, Jorgensen's is going to test for biceps tendonitis. Okay, so we put him 90-90 here. Okay, their motion, and you have to kind of educate your athlete on this. You're going to say, I want you to come in and towards your belly button. Okay, and I'm going to resist you doing that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fingers in his bicipital groove right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is say, all right, go. And what I'm feeling for is I'm trying to see if I can get that biceps tendon to roll over that greater tuberosity. Okay, that's what we're trying to do there, and we can put pressure on that in this biceps tendon test. Okay, that's what we're looking at right there. Okay, and you can come in and out with it. Okay,
testing what about the tendon?
Whether it's going to sublux, or if he's got tendonitis in here, that's going to be really painful for him to do because we're compressing that tendon that's inflamed. Right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there. Okay, so that's Jorgensen's test. Sorry, they all have names. I wish I could call it biceps tendonitis test, but it's Jorgensen's test. So on that. All right. Drop arm test. Really, you have nothing to do with this one. All you're going to tell your athlete to do is you're testing to see if the rotator cuff muscle is intact. So you say, all right, what I want you to do is I want to take both your shoulders. I want you to bring them up, top of your head, all right, and then you're going to drop them back down. Just bring them back down slowly, okay? And then what they'll do is if they have a biceps tendon tear, or not a biceps tendon, I'm sorry, rotator cuff tear, they'll get about to here, about neutral on this part, and then this arm will just drop. Because it's either too painful or they've ruptured a muscle and it won't go. So it'll just drop right back down. Okay? So that's the rotator cuff test. So it's called drop arm. So all the way up, bring them back down slowly, and it will drop. Okay? And that's drop arm test. Or it won't. It'll come all back down and it won't be a problem. Okay? That's a good test for that kid that says he tore his rotator cuff. Here, all right, do a drop arm. Because anybody that tears it, they're not going to be able to do this. And they'll just come all the way back down, no problem. You're like, you're lying. So that's good. That's one of those tests that we can do. Okay. Empty can. So what we want to do on an empty can, we're testing the supraspinatus specifically on this one. So we take their arm, all right, we bring them into flexion, all right. Then we're going to rotate their hand over like they're emptying out a beer can, which is a sin in my book, but that's a different story. Okay, all right. And then all we're going to do is we're going to say, hold it here. Okay, all right. Don't let me push your arm down. Okay. And then we're going to resist that. They've got a supraspinatus issue at all, that's coming right down. It's going to hurt them too much to do that, okay? So that's empty can, all right? Usually you'd like to do that one bilateral, so have them both there, all right? And then you just push on both of them. So that's that, but just so I can show it to you.
It's called what?
Empty can test. Empty can. So.
And you put him not really fully in flexion, but
No.
also a little bit in abduction.
Flexion and abduction. You want to be you want to be, I guess, full flexion to about 45 degrees abduction right here. And then push on it. Okay, that's what you want to do. Okay. Speeds test. Okay, this is a test in the biceps tendon too. So this is just really a flexion test, a manual muscle flexion test. So this is speed. So just bring your arm. You're going to resist arm straight. You're just going to resist that biceps tendon. That's speeds is what that's called. So that one. O'Brien's test. Flex your shoulder 90 degrees of elevation. Okay, so we want 90. Sometimes I got to remember these. Horizontal abduction. All right. And then I want to do, this is impingement. All right, impingement test right here. I take this, I'm going to bring them in here, and I'm going to crank on that push down, okay? What I'm doing is I'm bumping this humeral head against those rotator cuff tendons right here, right? So that's going to be O'Brien's, excuse me. And you can come in further if you need to. You can come out further a little bit if you need to, depending on what you're looking at doing. So we're just coming in and just kind of pushing it down. Okay, sorry about that. Take me a second. This is O'Brien's. I think he must have been Irish. Right? O'Brien, isn't that an Irish name? Okay. Hawkins test, I don't want you to do that one. That one's too that's not a very good test. I don't know why I put that on there. Alright, last thing I want you to do is just called your cross-body adduction test. And this is going to evaluate the AC joint. All we do is we put them in just straight, just go ahead and put them in full extension, and we're coming across their body all the way. Okay? That's it right there. That's simple. It tells you it's cross-body adduction.
Do you do it for them?
Yes, you're doing it for them. Because sometimes they won't do it because they got pain, and you really want to crank on that and push them into abduction, because that's where you're going to get the pain, is when you get towards this part right here, because you're kind of separating that AC joint a little bit when you do that. Okay? Got them? Let's do them and we're done.